Before my injury, I was athletic and I would get out and kayak every night when I got home from work, and I would hike the hills and scuba dive and surf. I was a high school football official who was working to try to get into the college ranks. Needless to say, that all changed very quickly. My name is Jon Price, and I'm in Kaneohe, Hawaii, and moved here to work in a school, the Kamehameha schools, in administration. I was here 2 whole months before I was in an accident. I thought I had caught the perfect wave. I remember flying across the top of the water, and then as the barrel curled, I lost the board, and that's when I hit the beach. I was knocked out completely, and I didn't wake up for 3 days. When you wake up in that condition, the first thought is it's most people's worst nightmare. You've been completely paralyzed. How do I end everything when I can't move a muscle? It's very dark, very frustrating, and you get very angry. At least I was very angry at myself. My wife and my nephew were sorting through all the options. What's next? My nephew, who is a nurse at Tripler Army Base Medical Center, did a lot of research on rehab hospitals, and he said that we need to get to Craig as soon as possible. And so we came over to Denver from Honolulu. Our first meeting was with my complete healing staff. The doctors, the interns, the nurses, the respiratory therapists are in on that first meeting so that they understand the full patient and what your needs are, what your concerns are, what you're struggling with. It allowed me to face each challenge in a way that I never thought I had the strength to do.
Nice.
I wasn't interested in making friends. I wasn't interested in learning names. I wasn't interested in learning stories until I met the alumni who were coming back to the program to talk and to mentor and for sharing experiences within the floor that I was on. Once I was able to do that, I was able to recognize that the anger and frustration I felt about allowing my injury to happen to myself, there is no allowance, it's random events. And mentally that allows you to move forward, to release the frustrations where you were and take those next steps in healing. When I was brought in, I was a mess. I was on a vent, I was hooked up to multiple tubes, and my wife had to leave to go back to Hawaii to go to work while I was in that shape. And when she came back 3 months later to be with me in my outpatient process, I'm able to move, I'm able to walk, I'm able to hug her. And my goal through this whole process was to regain enough strength to walk on the beach and hold her hand. And right now, I've got one leg that's working, another leg that's about there, and one hand that works. So that's right where my goal is. And that's the plan, is to go back and walk on the beach and hold my wife's hand. I learned about AccesSurf while I was at Craig. And so they told me about AccesSurf before I even left Denver. So the minute I got here, I looked it up, and the first chance I had, I was on the beach and meeting people and seeing what they did. And as I went out, I was amazed by the amount of volunteers that were there to help people that had a disability, the knowledge of the staff and the equipment on how to pair them up, the dedication of making sure there was an intake, an interview, and an assessment of the skills and abilities of the participants before they even got on the water. Today, riding the waves in, it's just an amazing feeling to have a piece of what you used to have. And so it wasn't just the experience of getting on a surfboard that was amazing, but it was that community that I valued so heavily at Craig that I found with AccesSurf. And so I came back the following month at AccesSurf and asked them to help me get on a board. And now today, my core's stronger, my balance is stronger, I'm able to bend my back enough. When you do have the wave and you are finding that balance, that's when you know you're surfing like you used to. That's pretty healing. I left Disneyland for, the paralysis. And when I found AccesSurf, I slipped into a family in Ohana that really was a shared bond in that community. From there, I met more of the volunteers and would learn about things that were going on that they would want, volunteer help to talk about AccesSurf. And so I shifted from participant to, volunteer in a vocal capacity. I can't do that level of work like I used to. I found the challenges were just too difficult. That's the reality. Again, that change in your role from who you were to who you are to who you will be, I think that's what helps with your recovery and how you can then help others. I have the ability to be different in some way, and what is that? What is it I want to do? Is it artistic? Is it community? That's within our own sphere of control. Craig saved my life because I was in a dark space after the accident. And because of their dedication, their team approach, that level of care is immeasurable. And as a patient, is appreciated because you're being cared for in the best way possible while you're here.